I had more fun with Dynasty Warriors 5 than I did with any of the other main series games on the 6th generation of console. What Dynasty Warriors 5 lacks in terms of new features and additions, it makes up for in the refinement of its existing features. It's the first game in the series to ask, what should we change and what should we remove, rather than what should we add. Let's see what made it past the cutting room floor and find out just what made Dynasty Warriors 5 such a good entry in the series.
Come and witness the wrath of the heavens!
Released in 2005, this Dynasty Warriors game is the last main series game developed for the PS2 era, with the exception of a backport of Dynasty Warriors 6. I imagine that coming so late in the console's development cycle is what caused Tecmo Koei to hold off on adding a ton of new features, potentially saving a lot of their ideas for the new generation of consoles over on the horizon. The changes here are small and iterative. Dynasty Warriors 5 uses a combination of systems from prior games, picking and choosing what it wants. The item system is lifted wholesale right out of Dynasty Warriors 4, allowing you to pick up and choose different stat bonuses, magical properties, and saddles before every battle. The weapon system reverts to a system much more similar to Warriors 3, having you pick up new weapons in every battle rather than leveling up the same weapon like in 4. The new weapons feel like they have slightly more purpose here too, especially with their ability to have different weight classes that substantially changes what wielding them feels like. The end result is the most expansive amount of choice I've seen thus far in the main series games, at least in how you want to tailor your character. But that also means you may find yourself spending a little bit more time digging through menus to try different builds. Though I overall like the degree of choice here, the ability to save loadouts and swap them out on the fly would have been a nice addition. Weapons aren't the only thing that this game borrows from Warriors 3. The Musou-based story mode is now handled on a character-by-character basis, rather than a kingdom-by-kingdom basis like in 4. Though I have to say I think the focus on different factions that 4 brought makes much more sense for the series at large, the way that Dynasty Warriors 5 treats its Musou mode is still very strong. Well-directed and frequent cutscenes precede each major battle and feel far more driven by the individual characters this time, and even the small skirmishes that don't justify a cutscene will give you some context, with your general providing the strategy and reason for the encounter. The backdrop even gives you a view of the map, allowing for a greater sense of geography here than in previous entries. Each character's Musou mode will run you about an hour, so beating it for the dozens of characters can add up in time pretty quickly. I found that running through Musou mode for 2 to 3 characters from each faction was more than enough to soak enjoyment and story out of the game before finally moving on to the free play mode and just doing whatever combination of stage and character I wanted. The much more balanced difficulty settings here give you enough flexibility to tailor the experience to you, rather than the slightly overtuned easy mode from 4.
Here's the land.
So let's talk about that refinement. Like I said, Dynasty Warriors 5 is not defined by what it adds, but instead what it changes. And the most important of those changes are the immeasurable improvements to game feel. This is where running around and killing enemies reached a level of catharsis that the series is so openly known for. One of the major reasons for this is the amount of enemies on screen seeing a significant increase. My post-battle kill count usually ranged somewhere from 300 to 400 enemies in a battle, where I may have only seen 90 to 100 in the past. The large increases in enemies on screen is made more impactful by some subtle changes in sound design. The way that the slashing of your weapons layers its audio on top of itself for each enemy hit makes it so that you can really feel certain thresholds of enemies being reached. Hitting 3 guys at a time feels and sounds so much different than hitting a dozen or more. Hitting those dozens at a time is also far more achievable due to a change in the game's auto lock-on system. In Dynasty Warriors 2 through 4, your weapon making contact with an enemy would cause your direction to fixate on that enemy until the end of the combo. This prevents you from turning around mid-attack string to potentially face threats from behind. Though this has some advantages of allowing you to stick onto certain enemies, the type of game that Dynasty Warriors is makes it so that honing in on specific enemies is almost never what you want to be doing in the first place. Dynasty Warriors 5 frees you from the shackles of this mandatory auto lock-on system and allows you to spin around and pirouette to your heart's desire to slash at enemies from every direction. It makes those introduction cinematics where Zhao Yun runs around like a cool dude killing enemies from all sides feel like a far more attainable feat in-game. The importance of this change cannot be overstated. If this was the only thing that Dynasty Warriors 5 improved, it would still be my favorite main series game from this generation. Even the slightest of improvements made to how hitting enemies with your sword feels makes a massive difference in a game that's almost entirely designed around hitting enemies with your sword. And this improvement is far more than slight. And that's not the only change made to the moment-to-moment combat. Each character has seen their combos significantly changed to make them much more fluid. The old grab attack that slowed the game down to a crawl has been removed, as has the slow taunt attack designed to break enemy guard. For those fearing that a lot of their offensive capabilities have been removed, find solace in this game's new all-out power-up, the Muso Rage technique. Tokens can be found on the battlefield that can be activated to send you into a fury that greatly increases your attack speed and Muso generation, while also making it so that incoming hits don't stagger you. It also beefs up your Muso special move itself, appending an extra attack onto the end of it. This extra Muso attack can be attained by linking up with the reworked bodyguards too. Rather than being no-name grunts who follow you around as a pack, your squad is replaced with an individual bodyguard of much higher strength. Linking up with them is a way to boost your Muso attacks, but they mainly just follow you around and attack enemies near you. Bodyguards feel like a poor man's co-op, but it's an option if you want to play the game entirely by yourself and still want to see multiplayer strategic perks. The crappy duel system from Dynasty Warriors 4 is gone too, as is the underwhelming character creation. One new feature that they did improve from 4, rather than cutting it out altogether, was siege weaponry. They now actually feel like a fixture on the battlefield that your enemies will pay attention to, requiring you to defend them if you want to take down their walls. I do wish duels could have seen a similar overhaul rather than being thrown out entirely, but better to see them removed than kept in their original state. With so many different things being both changed and removed, it's a testament to how strong some of those individual changes are that they can completely carry this experience. I don't think Dynasty Warriors 5 is quite as feature-filled as 4 might have been, but what sets this sequel apart is just how much better all of its features play. The substantially improved combat puts this game at a level that the previous games just can't reach, and playing this game back-to-back with 4 was a real eye-opener. The over-the-top action and slaying of hundreds of dudes that this series has always been known for hits its stride with this entry. The localization is still garbage though.
My name is Zhao Yun. I am searching for a lord worthy of my loyalty so that I may help bring peace to this troubled land. In this land of Ji, I joined Yuan Shao's army so that I could serve in the campaign against the Yellow Turbans.